Yo, what's up? It's Jimmy on from Glitchy Thumbs. In today's video, we're going to be using character 2.2, the long face Potamus. That's his name. I think that's what I called him. That's what I'm keeping up with. If you guys like that name, leave a comment below. If you don't, give me a better name, and possibly I might change it. We might use it in a game for character 2.2. The video is going to be super short. I'm going to be putting it in Buildbox, and we're just going to see the animations. Let's go to the video. I open up Buildbox, click 3D game, drag in our FBX, import, go to scene, change the outline from white to black. This time, it finally works how it should. If you haven't seen that video, definitely check it out in the link below. I was working on this character, creating the 3D model in Blender, and then I did a part 2 to show why the outline wasn't working. Definitely check that out. Now we're able to use it in Buildbox because that was pretty much a roadblock for me. I try to make sure I get my workflow down and my process down. This part, I've ran into it multiple times. Most likely a lot of you guys are going to be running into it. Definitely check out those videos. Let's get back to Buildbox. Now that I'm looking at this character, it kind of looks like a horse actually, instead of a hippopotamus mixed with a long face. That's what I saw originally in the reference, but the fact that I'm looking at it over and over again, it kind of looks like a horse. Maybe if I do redraw this character or recreate this character, he'll definitely have more horse characteristics. These are all pretty abstract. It could be pretty much anything. However, my mind determines what character it is, what characteristics it has, is whatever it is. I'm changing my mind, possibly, that it might be a horse. That really changes a lot of things in terms of picking a color for this character. Since it's grayscale, color for me can mean a lot of different things. It just really depends on what type of character it is. If it's a horse, definitely can go with some sort of brown color or some sort of white color. We'll just have to see. Yeah, it's definitely a horse. A very different horse, let's put it that way. I'm adjusting the view for this so that we can actually see the character from the side. I click into the character and you can see we have 3 different animations. These are the animations I worked on in Blender. Check out that video if you haven't already on how I created the keyframe animations. It's super simple, nothing too difficult to understand. The way I did it, you'll definitely understand. I duplicated the character 2 more times. That way we have 3 of the same characters, but I'm going to connect a different animation to each object. The first version of character 2.2 has the first keyframe animation connected. The second version has the second keyframe animation. The third copy has the third keyframe animation. I checked loop for all of them, and then I drag them out and align them next to each other and click play. This is for me pretty much. Since we worked on these keyframe animations, I want to have a visual of all the animations for this particular character. I've been doing this for all my future characters that I'm working on. That way I have an idea of what animations I've worked on, but also what animations are available for this character. Possibly it determines what game mechanic I make with the character. Sometimes I won't have an idea for any of these characters. They'll just be created just because I want to create all these characters in my character set that I came up with in Procreate. I'm just setting them up because I might need them in the future as a secondary character of some sort. Maybe it's just there for me, and it creates pretty cool content on how my process is. It's pretty cool to see the animations that I came up with. They're super simple, but they're very different. You can see one of them is stomping and just slightly moving his head. The one in the back is just head bobbing and knocking his snout into the floor, which is a little bit goofy, but it's pretty funny. At least I think it's pretty funny. I'm aligning the one in the middle to be the far left because this was a keyframe animations from the previous character 2.1, but I just applied it to character 2.2. It had some sort of movement on the tail, so it was a different animation. I wanted to just lay them all out just to see what they would look like, and it actually looks all pretty cool. It's very unique. The character is unique. Never seen anything like it because it's randomly came from my drawing. It's cool to see the different animations that you come up with. This is how I guess I decided to showcase the animations by just dragging it into Buildbox. It's just much easier for me to organize. I can do it in Blender, but that's going to require a little bit of work of setting up the camera and stuff like that. I plan to do so in the future in Blender, but I'd rather just go through the process of creating the 3D model and then exporting the FBX and then dropping it into Buildbox because that's the process that I'm familiar with. That's what we're going to be doing most of the time. So I might as well just keep doing that as part of my workflow process. This might change in the future as I'm just making all different characters and seeing what I come up with. A lot of things change as I go, depending on the efficiency. If I find that certain things work better than others, then I'll just do that. Right now, this is working for me to show all my animations. This is how I usually set it up. I'll probably drop some of these on social media when I get the chance. But these are the 3 different animations that I came up with for character 2.2. It actually looks pretty good with the default grass that's provided in Buildbox. You can see I'm trying to find some sort of background color to accommodate this scene. I chose a teal color to represent the sky. I turned on the fog. This is where I'm experimenting with the start distance to see what happens when I change the values. Like, does it make the fog more thicker if I have a start distance at a shorter number? Like, what happens when I do that? So I'm experimenting with different values. I think this teal is a little bit too bright, so I chose more of a darker blue. That way it's not so blinding to the eye. There's some contrast going on with the blue and the green, and then our character is gray, so that's a little bit separation between the 2 colors. The blending isn't so well between the 2 still, but that's not the point. We're just trying to create some kind of simple scenery to show the animations that I worked on. So I changed the fog start distance to 1, and I don't really see much of a difference other than it slightly looks like the fog is filling in above the character, but that's not the feel that I'm looking for. It kind of works, but it kind of doesn't. So I changed it back to 1500. Now I'm adjusting the view again to get a different slightly view of the animations. This character mainly can only be used on a side view is because of the way it was modeled. The eyes are always going to be in front like this. If we did it on any other direction, we wouldn't be able to see those characteristics. So it's kind of like it's 2D in a sense, but it's actually a 3D model. I forget if this is under the shadeless option. It might be, it might not be, but I really like these animations. Definitely cool. Once I'm done adjusting the view, I click Save As. We're going to export this to iOS as always. This one is pretty simple. And then to export this, you got to make sure to go to the project settings, enter in your bundle ID. And I always use the same bundle ID most of the time. And then I export to iOS, click Save. And then I open the xCode project, go to signing and capabilities, select my team. And now I've been adding values to the bundle ID. This one is 2.2. And then under bundle display name, I'll put character 2.2. And the reason why I'm putting the values into the bundle ID is so that it creates a new app on my device, and that way it doesn't replace the previous characters that I've been working on. By doing that, I'll have access to all of my characters to kind of look at the different mechanics that I came up with or all the animations that I came up with. This way it helps my creative process where I have access to all the characters on my device. If one day I want to look at a certain character, I can, and possibly that's how I create some sort of idea or expand upon the idea based on whatever I'm seeing at the time. Now I don't have to go through the process of creating the character again and creating the mechanic or creating the animations. I'm actually just observing and analyzing that on my phone. That actually sparks new ideas where I might build upon whatever it is that I have right now, but I need to have that available for me to actually get in that flow. So that's how I kind of work. I need to be able to see the character, the current environment. Even though it's empty, I can still think of things to add around them. Or maybe I saw something outside when I'm walking and I want to add that to a certain character and a certain game mechanic. Or I saw a game mechanic that I like and maybe it applies to a certain character. Or I saw scenery in a movie. That's all different things that my mind thinks about and tries to pull all together. That's like my thought process and my creative process on how I create games. So that's the whole point of setting up things the way I'm doing it. It might be different for other people on how they create games, but this is how I've been creating games. I'm just documenting everything to showcase how it's a never-ending creative cycle. It kind of just happens here and there, and it's part of the creative process that I go through. There's always going to be thoughts that you have throughout the day, but how many of them are you actually going to use? That's why I like to have examples of it to kind of remind myself like, hey, there's this character. Maybe you need to do something with it. Or this actually works with this character. That's why these videos are very helpful for me now. It's helping me me get through my thoughts on how I want to take this. And also it's pretty cool to see because I've never actually recorded everything that I did to get to certain characters or to get to certain animations or to get to certain mechanics. I kind of just went with the flow a lot of times, and they all ended up as pretty decent games in the past. But now I don't have the content on how I came up with all of it. Now that's the reason why I'm doing all these videos, because now you get to see the entire process. I think it's super helpful to see that because everyone might think it looks easy to do, but at times it's really not. It's actually a process that people go through. Sometimes it's very unorthodox, or maybe that's just how the creative process is for a lot of people and they just don't showcase that. This is how I do it, and you're gonna see every video is gonna be super different. Some things might be the same because of the way I structured it, but I'm trying to improve every character for every video. Maybe I'll learn something different for each character, or I'll try to create some sort of different mechanic, or I'll learn something new in Buildbox. So there's always going to be something new, hopefully, in every video. At least that's what I've been seeing in all of my videos that I've been recording. So definitely check it out. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you find yourself doing this yourself and your creative process is similar to mine's, let me know. I would love to hear it. I run it to my device. This is a screen recording that I normally take of the current gameplay. Since we didn't have some sort of game mechanic for character 2.2, this is just the recording of the animations that I came up with for this character. So now I have this recording on my phone. If I ever needed to look at it again without having to, go to my computer and open up Blender and looking at all the animations, or opening up the Buildbox project just to see the animations, I'll just have it on my phone and I'll just look at it along with other characters of mine and just think about certain things that I would do for this character. And sometimes you won't be able to think of anything. Like for this character, I really didn't have a mechanic in mind just because of the way I created him, but I think I did come up with some sort of idea in the Blender portion of the video. I definitely need to go back and look at it again. I think the idea was to have the character possibly in the middle and then using the head bob animation and possibly having something that's rotating, and then on top of it might have different buckets that have fruit in them, or spikes, which is like enemies you have to avoid. The goal is actually to tap and time your taps. So that was an idea I did have based on looking at this character, but I haven't built it yet. That's definitely something that I might do for character 2.2. Also now with the idea that it looks like a horse to me now, which it didn't really look like that before when I drew him. So all these things are coming into play on how I might take this character. We'll just see. It's cool to just record everything and have it available as thoughts. It might be something that I do expand upon. That's the idea for character 2.2. If we look at the reference, you can really see that it's super abstract. This was something I drew in Procreate for character 2.2. You really can't determine what it looks like from here. That's why I called it the long face Potamus before, because that's originally what I really thought about it. But then when you introduce the 3D model and you're able to see it from a different perspective on how the character actually looks in a 3D space, along with color and an actual outline, and then putting them into an actual space where you can see the different movements like I'm doing in Buildbox, it really changes your thoughts about the character on how you want to create a game around them. But I think the evolution of this process is very interesting. It's because I really didn't know what my process was going to be. It kind of just happened as part of my creative process. So far, I really like this process. It's actually getting my mind going. I'm able to talk about it. I'm able to think about multiple characters at once, and then all the little different things that I'm learning can also be applied to all my other characters. So there's a lot of things that are going on just firing in my brain. I think being able to record it in video form is really helpful, so I can just refer back to them. I mentioned this multiple times because it's really what I'm thinking about as I'm documenting all these characters in all these videos. I'm getting to a really good start on where I want to take this project of mine. But yeah, anyways, that's pretty much my thought process for my characters so far. This concludes the video for character 2.2. It was a super short video just because I didn't have a game mechanic that I thought about at the time of this video. But now that we're actually recording and trying to come up with ideas by just observing, looking at the character, how it looks like today, I'm able to come up with the new mechanic, which I just mentioned. So possibly you might see me build that in a future video if that's something that I want to do and maybe expand upon. That's why this process is pretty cool. on how I'm doing it, because it's going to be in a way where it's natural, it's in a flow. I'm not forcing anything. The ideas are kind of coming to me, and that's the best part about this, because I'll always have some sort of ideas to expand upon, and hopefully one of these ideas will create the next superstar that I'm thinking about for my next game. That superstar is going to be one of these characters. So let me know what you think of my process. Let me know what you think about character 2.2. What do you think the character is? Maybe a name that you want to call him. Maybe we'll use that. Appreciate your time. Please like and subscribe. It really helps the entire channel, but also leave a comment. Definitely want to hear from you. Let me know what you think. I'll see you in the next video for character 2.3. If you haven't watched any of the old videos, please do so. You'll definitely understand how my process went from the very beginning, and you can see how we got to this point. I'm definitely excited to get to the next character and the future characters. So I'll see you next video. Peace.